Hello, everyone. It's Fred Staab and Les Jackson. We are both here, ready to go. And Les, what do we got going on this week?
Well, we have a lot of different things. Another JD Power poll is in, and it's kind of, well, it isn't funny, but it's interesting. It turns out there's one thing that frustrates vehicle owners the most. We'll tell you what it is.
Yeah, we will. And then we're going to talk about Mercedes upgrading their EQB. We'll tell you what they've done. Looks like they've got some cool wheels and some flat matte paint, right?
That is right. Now, I'm not a fan of that paint, but I know a lot of people like it. So
Yep.
far be it for me to say don't do it. Um, but down here at the federal government across the river, this would be NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. They might want to add seatbelt warnings to all the seats in SUVs.
All right. Well, I don't know
Boy,
if
that's
that's a
a symphony of door bells ringing.
right. Passenger in third row, buckle up. Yeah,
That's
and
right.
then we're going to talk about some pricing for the Kia Soul for 2024. Still a great deal. We'll tell you about that. And Volvo is going to have a um, Volvo is going to have a electric minivan coming up, the first of
Did
its
you
kind.
say minivan? You're not
No, they
allowed to
call it
say
an
minivan.
MPV. They call it an
That's
MPV, but uh,
yes,
but it's a minivan. So we'll tell you about that. It's called
that's
the
right.
EM90, and that is all coming up on Cruise Control. Les, a lot to get to. So we will be right back.
A lot.
Control. Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staub and Les Jackson. Control. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Control. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Control. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin. Control. Because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
All right. Is everybody's seatbelt fastened? Because you're going to have to shortly. Anyway, welcome to Cruise Control. This is your on air automotive magazine. As usual, every Saturday, we're live, Fred and I. Fred's the other guy on the microphone,
Hello.
and you know him. And we've got, as usual, a lot of different goings on in the auto industry, plus, of course, um, specific vehicles we're going to talk about. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, we've got a lot to get to, Les. A potpourri, and we're starting off with a poll from JD Power talking about technology. Still frustrating a lot of people. New vehicles have more technology than ever, and it's still a point of frustration.
I'm sure it happens to you. You get a lot of people around you that know what we do and emails, and constantly people are complaining to me, can I turn off some of this stuff? I don't understand it,
Why is it
which is
beeping?
another problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, and Mercedes, we're not talking about tech there, but they've upgraded their EQB, their uh, rather popular vehicle.
Yeah.
New paint that, I don't know. Do you like flat paint, Fred?
Well, flat
As you
paint
know, I don't.
is a bit of a problem to clean up, and if you ever damage it, it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to repair. But we'll talk about that, and then Les, you were mentioning that thing called the federal government that's nearby you.
Yes.
They have something planned for your vehicle?
They certainly do. They being the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, want to add seatbelt warnings to all the seats in the vehicles, including the third row of SUVs. Now, as it so happens, I am this afternoon going to be at lunch with the senior person at NHTSA, and we'll be talking about this.
Yeah, we should have had them come on a little early, but but
Yeah.
anyway, we're going to have pricing on the Kia Soul, the 2024 version of it, which is still a great value. And one of Kia's other great value models is going away. We'll tell you which one that is. It's another sub $20,000 vehicle. So those things are going away. But if you've ever wanted a electric minivan with Swedish style, you will get your
Yep.
chance to check it out. It is the EM90 from Volvo. It's going to be coming up, so we'll tell you about that and a whole lot more when we come back on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson, we are with you and glad to be here. Talk about a brand new study that just came out from the folks at J.D. Power. And it basically says owners' experience with battery electric vehicles' advanced tech is more problematic than internal combustion engine vehicles. Interesting stuff. Although some of these things sound like some are found on all vehicles, right?
Well, that's what I was thinking when I first reviewed this. That we're driving electric vehicles all the time, and I'm finding they have this roughly the same amount of technology as other vehicles. I don't notice peculiarly different issues with them.
Well, it's interesting. You and I have talked about this. Certain electric vehicles we get are very similar in style and layout to internal combustion. And then others like Lucid or Tesla or some of the other ones are quite different. Like what I mean by that is certain electric vehicles have an electric motor under the hood. If you didn't know any better, you would think it was an engine. It's got a plastic cover over it. And others have a frunk, like the Ford Lightning. So it's...
Well, yeah. So I don't quite know what, what specifically people are upset. Well, I shouldn't say upset, but frustrated with.
Well, let's talk about this. The official name is the J.D. Power 2023 U.S. Tech Experience Index, and people are complaining about a number of things. Warning bells and other disruptors. Manufacturers like Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, and Polestar are making big debuts here, but they are have some innovations that are kind of upsetting people. Owners don't like biometrics, in other words, fingerprint recognition, even I guess the driver distraction systems. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Now, so far everything I've tested, which is a lot, have they all don't have biometrics, but a lot do. But they're optional. You don't have to use them.
That's true. Although
to drive the car, it's just a handy thing if you want it.
Yeah. I've had some with fingerprint sensors. The Ioniq, I believe, had a fingerprint sensor, and then I think they're also talking about driver distraction settings. Have you ever driven that
Okay,
where it's got the sensor on the right by the
absolutely.
steering wheel, and you look away to look at a stop sign or somebody coming on, coming from the left just to look, and
And
it'll say
yeah, and
driver distracted.
exactly. And those, I don't. Well, you can probably go into the settings and change, either turn them off or whatever. But I can see where people just feel they're being watched too much, and that bothers some people. I like to play with it because I get to impress my passengers. Say, look at this cool thing.
Right, right.
Uh, but
Well, the other thing people
I
are upset
understand that.
about is plug and charge technology. This certainly will relate to electric vehicles. After plugging into a public charger, the charger identifies the vehicle, validates the charge, and starts the charging process, and payment and billing occur automatically. Nearly
Right.
72% of the owners say that they want that technology on the next vehicle, with just 6% uh, and overall satisfaction of 8.89% on a 10-point scale across the industry. Plug and charge is well executed across most manufacturers, and vehicles say it is well appreciated. Every time I've used that has worked well, don't you think?
It has. We've talked about charging issues a number of times on this show. It is by far not a mature infrastructure. And I have my complaints about it, and so do you, and chiefly that the chargers aren't working.
Yeah.
Um, but in general, once you can plug in,
Mm-hmm.
which I could not do with last week's Dodge Hornet, which I'll review on another show. Um, yeah, I can see where there's some irritation.
Well, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the study, and we'll tell you the highest ranking brands when it comes to tech. And it's a pretty good mix of brands. We'll tell you all about that when we come back. We'll also take a look at the Mercedes EQB, what's new there, and a whole lot more. So stay tuned to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab, Les Jackson. We'll be right back.
Cruise Control.
Hey, welcome back to Cruise Control. Fred and I, before the break, we're talking about the JD Power rankings on customer satisfaction, specifically electric vehicles and people's irritations. Let's just say that. And
Tech
a big
experience,
one,
I think they called it.
yes, and a big one that people complained about was warning bells. We're not going to spend any time on that other than the fact that I've been complaining about warning bells for 20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
I find most of them are too loud, and most of them, for me, are unnecessary. I'm already aware of what's going on. But anyway,
All right.
um, we do have the rankings
Yeah,
on
these are the best. So we don't really
and
have the worst.
and I am just so thrilled that Genesis ranks the highest because I ranked them as the highest a couple months ago. Just
Yeah,
saying, I think it's the best one out there.
yeah, I do. I think Genesis as a brand has just done a great job, and
Terrific. Just
apparently people like their tech. It's easy to use. It's laid out. There's a button for
yep.
most things. Menus are really even beautiful to go through. The graphic presentation.
Absolutely, very satisfying. You haven't experienced really excellence until you drive a Genesis.
Yep, yep.
Anyway,
Cadillac did well
uh,
too, and so did
Cadillac.
Lexus. They're tied. They tied,
Yep.
and Lexus has updated their tech. We're going to review a Lexus vehicle a little bit later on, and they've gone now to the touchscreen like everyone else, not the touchpad. And then
And Hyundai.
Hyundai and
The
Kia.
mass market. Second is Kia,
Yeah.
no surprise, and GMC. Uh, Good for you, GMC. I wouldn't have predicted that, but
Yeah.
that's great.
And then in the models, Chevrolet Corvette, the premium model, received the Convenience Award for the ground view camera technology. You don't want to be breaking
Yep.
that carbon fiber lip on your spoiler. Toyota Sequoia also received a Convenience Award for their ground view camera technology. That is a technology now, I wouldn't want to buy a vehicle without it because it's gotten better and better and better. Makes it easy to park.
Yes, it has gotten better and better. Prior to this technology, I have always relied on sound technology. That is, you hear the scraping uh, of the bottom of the
Well,
bottom of your vehicle. Yeah, on the curb or whatever. But like the Braille method for parking that so many people use. Anyway, emerging technology. Guess who gets the highest rating?
that would be,
Our old friends at Genesis.
yep, Genesis, yep, GV80. And Hyundai Palisade was the mass market top pick in the JD Power Tech Experience Index. And then BMW, the
Yep,
iX, receives
the iX. Yeah.
award for energy and sustainability for one pedal driving. I'm a big fan of one pedal driving.
Yep, yep. It's
Uh,
easy to get used to.
Easy to get used to, you know. And wow, Chevy Tahoe for streaming entertainment, and Hyundai
Yeah.
Sonata for a phone-based digital key. Um, digital keys, we don't really use them because you're not going to set that up in a press vehicle. It's kind of weird to set that up. Um, would you use one if you had a vehicle that you were using every
Uh,
day?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I might use it just to play with it.
But isn't it easy enough that you have your key fob in the pocket and you walk up and the doors unlock?
Right,
Why do you
right.
need to do it on your
Uh,
phone? I'm just asking. Maybe someone out there could tell me why. You
yeah.
know?
I mean, and what happens if your phone battery dies or you drop your phone somewhere? Now you can't even get in your car.
Right, right, exactly.
And
So
who do you call for for help?
right, or you leave
Uh,
your phone somewhere or something. Yeah, I agree. I
yeah.
agree with you, Les. So I don't know, but maybe we're wrong. Maybe someone can tell us why we were wrong and say, oh, a digital key on your phone is the best thing ever. But anyway, that's a brief look at the U.S. Tech Experience Index from J.D. Power. Always good info. And tech will continue to apparently get people, talking. How's that, Les?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all, and we're not going to go backwards.
No.
This technology is here.
Well, let's talk about a new vehicle. We always like to bring up new vehicles and updates, and there's an update for the Mercedes EQB. It has a black panel surface with star pattern on the inside, a new steering wheel, upgraded plug and charge technology, new generation M-Bucks for its infotainment. And then you get your choice of sound experiences. I believe there are 3 different sound experiences you can get, up to 4 sound experiences, and different sounds that allow individual acoustic setups. So that is an upgrade. We were talking about plug and charge function, and this is a big thing that people either like or dislike. And this is something that the EQB model has upgraded, and experience it as upgraded. It can be charged even more conveniently at plug and charge enabled public charging points where the cable is plugged in. The charging process starts automatically without the customer having to do additional authentications. So, yeah, you just plug in, and it's even better. I wonder if they're going to start playing those horrible things that they play in the gas station. I hate those things on the gas
Oh,
pump.
those really are getting more and more
Yeah,
irritating.
they've gotten irritated. So, more about the EQB. There's the new steering wheel. Pretty good tech refresh on this electric
Yeah.
vehicle. They have the EQB 250 Plus, the EQB 4MATIC, and the EQB 350 4MATIC. Of course, 4MATIC being their all-wheel drive. The 250 Plus has an output horsepower. Let's see. I'm not sure. Is that 188? I guess it is. And then the 300
Yeah.
225 and the 350 288. So interesting stuff, and nice update to from the folks at Mercedes on the EQB. I believe we had an at the wheel review of the EQB not that long ago.
Yeah, that was me.
And what did you think of it?
I was very impressed with it. It's just nicely put together. It's very nicely laid out. It was extremely comfortable.
It is certainly very traditional on the exterior styling, right?
Yeah, and mine was shiny.
Not the matte finish.
Um, Lovely, lovely vehicle, and not terribly expensive. I mean, it wasn't inexpensive, but it seemed to be a little bit less than I thought it might be.
Okay. All right. Well, there are some updates for you on that.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about our next story. We'll get into it a little bit after the break, but this is a new kind of proposal, I guess, from NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration. They're talking about they want to put this on vehicles 10,000 pounds or less, including cars, trucks, most buses, and multi-purpose passenger vehicles that promote seatbelt use other than the driver. And it's a good thing. I mean, even when I get in a taxi cab, I put my seatbelt on because you don't want to go flying. But when we come back, we'll talk about their idea and a whole lot more on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. It is Fred Staab and Les Jackson. We are here every week at this time. Don't forget to check us out on our YouTube page, Cruise Control Radio YouTube page, and our Facebook page, all that and more. So, Les, we were talking a little bit before the break about this proposal from NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, to reduce road accidents. Vehicles less than 10,000 pounds or less, and basically a warning for every passenger, even if you're in the third row of a SUV, to put on your seatbelt. I have seen this system in certain vehicles where they give you like a little grid of, people with seatbelts in the vehicle. So certain manufacturers are doing this already. It's a great idea to wear your seatbelt even if you're not in the front seat. I do in taxi cabs or Ubers or whatever. So what do you think about this?
Well, it seems to me like a good idea on the surface. However, doing this is going to cost a great deal of money, and I'm not minimizing people getting killed because they don't have a belt or don't put one on if they do. But they're saying if all this is done, the NHTSA is saying that if all this is done, that about 300 non-fatal injuries and 100 fatal fatalities would be saved with putting all of this equipment in at every seat in passenger vehicles, trucks, and buses. It clearly, again, I don't want to minimize the fact that 100 people fewer would die, but I don't think you can sell the public on that kind of expense for a calculated saving that's so much lower than I would have expected it to be. Plus, already a huge percentage of crashes that are non-fatal. Most of the people in the vehicles aren't wearing seatbelts. So,
Right.
And passenger vehicles last year drove over 5 trillion miles.
Wow.
So, what are we really accomplishing here? And by the way, school buses don't have seatbelts. You'd think they would, but the studies have been made, and the crush dynamics of school buses are such that there really isn't any calculated benefit in putting seatbelts. Plus, kids wouldn't put them on anyway. But this is why I don't believe it's going to get passed eventually.
Maybe something a little bit simpler than what they're talking about, just a warning, or
right.
It's still a good idea, though, because the rules of physics don't stop after the first row in a vehicle.
Yeah, really. And how often do we tell our passengers to put a seatbelt on? I do.
Yeah. I remember there was some TV producer in New York, and they were just not even on a high-speed road, and the guy went out through the windshield. He was in the back seat.
Yeah, which is
obviously not wearing a seatbelt.
Talk about, he probably never knew what happened to him, but man.
Yeah, he was literally launched, so.
That's right, launched at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, into glass.
Yeah.
So not a good thing, but.
Not good.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with that, but we do have some information from the folks at Kia, and we're going to talk about their Kia Soul, which is a very popular model in their lineup. And Les, this has always been a good value, I think.
It always has. And whenever I see a Kia Soul driving around near me, the people in it always just seem to be in a good mood. I don't. Maybe I'm just thinking about the hamster commercials.
Yeah, remember the hamster commercial? I guess maybe it's because they didn't pay a lot for a kind of a fun car, right?
They've got a fun car. It's incredibly reliable. It was quite inexpensive.
It's useful.
It drives great.
You can put stuff in it.
So, what's not to be happy about?
Yeah. Well, let's look at some of the numbers on this. We were talking a little bit about vehicles that are less than $20,000. You can get a base model, excluding the destination. Destination is $1,325 for each of these. The LX starts at $19,990. So,
yeah,
technically it is under 20,000, but once you add the destination in there, it won't be. Then it moves up to the S at $22,490. The EX, which is probably, I would say the S or the EX are going to be the main models. The EX is $24,290, and GT line $23,590. The only one engine this year is the 2-liter 4 multi-port injection, 147 horsepower, 132 pound-feet of torque. Not a lot of power, but enough, right?
It's plenty. They're very light, nicely geared. They're peppy.
Peppy.
I think that's the plenty of power when you need it.
You get a two-tone paint option.
It sips gas.
Yeah, they a lot of this is standard to safety standard all trims, lane change assist, lane departure warning, lane keeping assist. They have a lot. And then they have options. They have a navigation-based smart cruise control with curve technology, rear cross-traffic collision avoidance assist, and that is optional on the LX, but standard on the S and EX. So, as we know with Kia, a lot of things come standard. I don't really have a list of everything that's on the LX, but I'm sure if you stepped up to the S, you would get plenty for $22,490.
Pretty much everything you want. Yeah.
Yeah. And decent looking vehicle, good room, and this would be a great commuter car or second car or first car for somebody. Wouldn't that be a great first vehicle?
Absolutely. And lots of room in it, lots of storage.
Yeah.
You could take a trip in this thing and not feel like you're sticking things on the roof.
Yeah.
So tied with rope.
Yeah. Well, in more Kia news, though, we're going to be saying so long to the Kia Rio. Kia Rio is going away. They confirmed it to Automotive News. It will not return for the 2024 model year. And, there goes another inexpensive car. But I would say
Absolutely.
More people would buy the Soul over that, wouldn't they?
I think so. I would, just because of the space.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit higher seating thing. And I'm very surprised that the Rio's going out because it does very, very well in that segment, which is a pretty small segment now.
Yeah.
And they just delivered a Nissan Versa to me yesterday, and that's
great value.
I guess going to almost take over that segment.
That's a great value, the Versa. I mean, for
It
the money you can get, what you can get for it. There's some talk that maybe perhaps Kia will build their version of a Chevy Bolt inexpensive electric car. What do you think? To replace the Rio.
I would think that that's a pretty good probability because they've got the K9 coming as electric, and
yep,
and they're certainly committed to electric, and that's a great platform. So why not?
Yeah. So Rio has had a good run, but certainly if you want one, you probably should think about buying one.
Buy one.
Yeah, I wonder if there are a lot of them out there on the lots. What do you think?
Well, there's a Kia dealer that I pass about once a week, and they don't seem to have a lot of stuff on the lot.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to tell you about something Volvo is going to reveal, and that is an electric MPV, or as we like to call it here, that is a minivan. So we'll talk about that when we come back and a whole lot more on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine.
Okay.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. We're going to talk about a new Volvo, and it's a minivan.
We only have a teaser video here, so
we should, and it's like station wagon. The industry hates it when you call anything they sell a minivan or a station wagon. They think you're going to jinx the sale.
I know.
Which is silly, but that's the way it is. It's an MPV.
Yeah, multi-purpose vehicle.
Multi-purpose people mover.
Right.
which sounds a lot like a minivan. But anyway, this is an electric uh, Volvo MPV. Well, I'll respect the industry and call it an MPV. And I think it's a great idea. I mean, I really think they're ahead of the curve on this.
Yeah, it's not going to be available until November, so we don't really know much about it. But you will travel in style and Swedish luxury. How's that?
I think I've really gotten to get deeper into Volvos in recent months because I've been very curious about, ever since the S60,
Mm-hmm.
you just realize, wow, this is a really good vehicle, and they've just, well, I'm saying they've become to me just a different company,
Yeah, yeah,
and a really, really one to seriously consider. They're not inexpensive, but they're not worse than any other brand.
no. Hey, let's talk about a brand we don't talk about that much at all. Vinfast. Interesting article this week. I believe this was on Autoblog about Vinfast is switching to dealer-based selling. Vinfast is the Vietnamese car company. It recently debuted on the New York Stock Exchange, valued at $85 million. And they think maybe the way to go is to sell these vehicles through dealers. I don't know. It's hard to say. They're looking to expand their dealer network quickly.
Yeah, and now dealers themselves are kind of
Not sure.
hesitant.
Yeah, I guess they don't know.
Well, if you're a dealer, you have to invest an awful lot of money in a product,
Right.
and if you're not sure how the company's going to go or how popular it's going to be, I think it's tough to decide to spring, for $3 or $4 million for a dealership.
Yeah. If you could
And
add it on to your current lineup, though, maybe.
maybe, sure.
Mm-hmm. But just an
I don't
interesting
know.
article.
I thought that we've talked about this a lot, that the industry seems to be moving away slowly from dealers and trying to go a little more directly to the customers. So
Regain control, not
seems
have
backwards.
huge markups and
Right.
sticker add-ons and crap like that. Yeah. So just an interesting article there on VinFast, brand we don't
Yeah.
talk about a lot. I'm anxious to actually check them out at some point. Let's talk about an upcoming show on Netflix. I have to be honest, I have not watched the Formula One Netflix show, Formula One Drive to Survive. Have you watched that on Netflix?
I I no, I've watched maybe 10 minutes of it.
Okay. All right.
It's good,
You watch
but
more than me, for sure. um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
apparently it's very successful. I've had friends that have talked about it that don't follow racing that have watched it, and they're surprised when I say, well, no, I haven't watched it, but I guess I
Yeah.
should watch it. But anyway, there's going to be a NASCAR version of it. It has an upcoming playoff documentary. We'll have 5 episodes, about 45 minutes long on each one. And it will be interesting to see. It's going to follow the same format as this Formula One show. It will be interesting to see if we see more forms of racing in
Well,
Netflix docs.
here in America, uh, NASCAR is by far the biggest spectator sport, um, and I don't watch it. I've never been a particular NASCAR fan. I just don't much care about oval tracks. But It's huge, and I think it's going to get an awful lot of viewers.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it will expand to rally racing and drag racing and who knows what, but maybe
Drag
if
racing, yeah, probably.
yeah, if it gets if it gets if it gets viewers, and I guess why not? I remember watching one documentary. I don't even remember what it was on, but it was the first 4K. They were talking about Le Mans. It was like it was actually good storytelling. This was a number of years ago.
Yeah.
And they had like, the team with the rookie and the pro, and the veteran driver, and the rookie wins, and a father and son team going to Le Mans with not a lot of money. And then they had the Nissan team where the driver basically trained playing video games.
I saw that.
And it was good.
It was actually very well done.
Yeah, good stories. And even the non-racing part of it was fun. The good behind-the-scenes stories. And it was shot in 4K, which was pretty neat to see that for the first time in a broadcast show, or a stream show, I should say. So, so good stuff. Yeah, I think we might see more out of it, and we'll just have to keep an eye peeled for it.
We've driven a couple NASCAR tracks in our
we
past, and you get a little tired of it after about 10 laps.
You're talking about Pocono. We would have a press day there, and we'd drive backwards and go into the infield for the road course, or part of the road course.
Well, I forgot you weren't with me and Bob Hall out at Las Vegas Speedway driving their huge NASCAR oval. And I was driving with Carroll Shelby and the NASCAR driver, really nice guy, young guy, Gordon, Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon's a great guy. Yes, I had a chance to talk to him. Yeah, he's
and
a
we
nice
were,
guy.
just cruising at 205 on lap on the straight, and 175 lap speed, and getting sick at our stomachs after a bunch of laps.
Well, with any of that racing, IndyCar racing or NASCAR, it's all about not just getting into the groove and making a mistake, because you're
right. And G-forces are constantly ripping you apart.
That's one thing we're talking about at the NASCAR thing, that they wanted to show it gets to be 140 degrees in the vehicle, which is physically
it's not comfortable,
grueling, I would say, to be wearing a fire suit and a helmet and a head sock and being 140 degrees.
I gained respect for these drivers because their stamina is incredible.
And you're holding that wheel in one direction the whole time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all righty. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Cruise Control. If you liked it, stick around for the next one. Don't forget to check out our YouTube page and our Facebook page, Cruise Control Radio. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road.
Bye.